Today, we're going to be talking about our fondest Halloween memories.
Show and tell.
And of course, we're going to open the box of mystery.
And ask the magic 8-ball.
Rob's favorite. What's up, everybody? Welcome to GenX Vault. I am Chris Mitchell.
Rob Kennedy.
And today we're going to do a little bit something different. We're actually going to talk about our fond Halloween memories. And really, Rob nor I know what either one of us is really going to talk about. We may have mentioned it to each other in passing before. But today we're going to really, in the whole spirit of the season, we're going to talk about our fond Halloween memories and just what it was like growing up in the 70s and 80s and even in the 90s into college. So do you have a story that you want to go first or do I have one?
I was going to start with, I sent you a couple pictures.
Okay, the costumes.
Yeah. Ben Cooper.
Oh, yeah, Ben Cooper.
Ben Cooper.
I know that name well.
Ben Cooper, my earliest Halloween memories were of vinyl glued together Ben Cooper Halloween costumes.
That's right. If you were a child of the 70s and 80s.
It had a certain smell.
Vinyl smell.
To it. It would make you sweat profusely. It looked nothing like the character you hoped it would.
And the weird thing is you always had the character's face and name on the shirt.
Yeah.
So it was like if you were Superman, it said Superman on your shirt.
And it was usually short sleeve when it should have been long sleeve.
That's right.
And everything else. But completely couldn't have cost much to make them. I mean, no.
Cut your lips up and your side, your eyes.
I'm sure I had several. The only two that I can distinctly remember is Batman and Darth Vader.
You sent me the picture of those.
Yeah,
okay.
I sent you a picture of those to post up, and you can see. But the Darth Vader one. You're a kid, you get this Darth Vader costume, and you think, "Oh, I'm going to be Darth Vader."
Right.
But then you open it up, and it's a short sleeve, almost a sleeveless type deal.
Right.
And then you're like, "What?" And then instead of the square little chest plate with all the blinking lights, it's a starburst yellow outline of Darth Vader himself, his head.
Darth Vader having a picture of himself on his costume.
And the best part is the cape. I actually used the cape long after Halloween.
Oh, did you?
But the rest of the stuff I only used that night of. But yeah, as far as early memories go, probably other than we would go trick or treating in neighborhoods of family friends because we lived out in the country. And but I remember those two costumes distinctly. My mom says she's put me in a Halloween costume contest one time, but I don't recall it.
I did those. You talked about the Ben Cooper costume, and there was Collegeville also made them too. Mm-hmm. There's another company called Collegeville. I've spent way too many hours researching the history of these companies on the internet. Now that I can. I told Rob on the way over here we're going to do when we get into Christmas season. I told him how obsessed I was with the Wish book and how many hours I've spent poring over those pages. And this is one of those things that I've spent the exact same amount of hours on. Just Halloween costumes. The cool thing about that is like what you were talking about. They had it was a thin plasticky mask. Almost extremely thin.
Only covered your face.
Only covered the face and half an inch or an inch and a half inch thick at the most. A little rubber band clasp stapled to the mask.
Yep.
And then of course you had they were mouth cutters. I mean, they were always mouth cutters because they had the little breathing hole. Now, here's a funny story about that. And I'm not making this up. I'll show pictures on this. You can look at old images of it, and it said flame retarded. I'm not making that up. It said flame retarded, and which is the proper use of the word. But God Almighty, when you're in kindergarten in 1980, and you read that stuff, you're just like, okay. Well, you didn't read it because I couldn't read that well in 1980, but you knew what it was. And it was just really crazy to think about that.
Well, and it was the I just honestly I can picture the production meetings as like, we're going to make this as cheaply as humanly possible, and because I was a real skinny small kid, and even I getting into it would sometimes rip the seams or whatever because they were literally just glued together.
They were vinyl. Heat pressed together. And the interesting thing about that is that we had talked about this I think before. That smell. Yeah. Whenever I smell that vinyl smell, it takes me back to 1980 in TGNY in Claxton. I'd walk in, and so my thing is I have a few triggers. that are the onslaught of the coming of the Halloween season. And one of those triggers is orange. When I start seeing orange decorations in stores and storefronts, I mean, I get the vibe, man. I get the oh yeah, the pumpkin vibe. That's what's happening, you know.
Yeah, because kids today, they don't know those costumes. Because,
That's right.
The costumes, even the costumes that sell at Walmart now,
are incredible.
So superior to those. But I guess the Ben Cooper makes a better memory.
Well, it's a memory. I mean, these kids have this. But the interesting thing that when we were kids, the Gen Xers, we could not. You didn't get costumes year round. They sell costumes year round now. Back then, they came out in the end of August. They started loading the shelves at the end of August.
Yeah.
You got it. You wore it a few times. Your mom would not let you. Didn't want you to play in it. You tear it up before Halloween. You're gonna tear it.
Yeah. Because you weren't getting another one.
That's right. Well, now I have a crazy fond memory of those early costumes that I had. Like in 1978, I was the devil, which was right about that time when I was talking about Satanic Panic kicked in. But I was cool with that. I was 4.
I'm about to say, did you even know?
I was 4 in Gainesville, and I had the red pitchfork that went with it.
Yeah.
And it was the devil with the earring in the side of his ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the funny thing is he so you had the devil in the front. You had you knew who you were, and you were meta. You were telling everybody, "Oh, I am the devil." And I remember my sister we got back from the candy loot, and we lived in Gainesville, Georgia at the time, and I was jabbing this. I guess I was joking with the lady that was giving out candy, an older lady next door, and I guess I jabbed a little too close to her face for my sister's comfort, and she told on me when we got back to the house, and then it's kind of like, okay, so my first memory, I was a little devil, and so that was that year. The next year, when I got back, we moved back to Claxton, and that year I don't really exactly remember what I was, but I remember the second year after that when I was in second grade, we were in... I was the skeleton version, which they had with the cracked skull, and then they had so I had the Ben Cooper costumes for a couple years in a row, either the Collegeville or the Ben Cooper costumes a couple years in a row, and then as you get older, you remember when we first discovered those latex masks on the shelves,
Yep.
So man, the first time I saw a latex mask, my brother brought one home. And it was a Frankenstein latex mask, and it was like the most detailed, because compared to this Ben Cooper stuff, you never saw anything like that.
Was it full head or half head?
This was a half head. It only did the chin.
Because I had one. The first time I got something that wasn't totally cheap, it was a Frankenstein mask like that. It was latex, except when I say half head, it only like you stuck your face in it,
right?
And you just had to depend on tension and your own size of your head to keep it in place.
Well, I mean,
and my head was not big enough, so it would just fall off.
Yeah. Well, as my memory, I've learned that as my memory, as I get older, my memory has painted in a lot of the gaps for me. So there may not be, some of that may not be exactly accurate, but I remember it being a green face on that mask, and I'm pretty sure it had the scar. Yeah,
the one I had, it was definitely Frankenstein, and it was close enough that it was probably licensed. To be by Universal, but I remember being very excited to getting it, and then being very disappointed that it just wouldn't stay on.
Fit, yeah. Well, they made them one size fit melon heads is what they made them. It wasn't they weren't kids.
Yeah, you needed a big head for this to be effective.
Right. Well, and Matt Fallon and I were talking one day. The drummer, Pleasant, and a good friend of mine. He loves Halloween just as much as I do, and we usually have a pumpkin carving every year at his house. I don't imagine it'll happen this year because of COVID, but the interesting thing is that when Matt and I were talking, he'd remembered that too when that came out, when those things first got introduced. It was a game changer for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was probably in around the third grade when that happened, but that year I wanted to be a vampire. Because, again, the triggers in Claxton Elementary School always put on the fall festival, the Halloween festival, you know. And when they did, my favorite thing to get every year, and I still love seeing these things on the rack, on the shelves, the vampire teeth, the cheap pair of vampire teeth. I can't tell you how many times I've cut my mouth.
Oh yeah, those hurt.
Cut my mouth with those, but loved every second.
And they'd activate your slobber gland and
you're
drooling
you're doing that all day long.
They hurt. Those things. I can remember that feeling of how they hurt.
Oh yeah,
the pain they brought to your
mouth.
See,
you're looking at. I'm like, that hurts so good.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Well, now years later, I don't know if you went to that Platooine that I put on where What I did was I've discovered that if you take like those quote unquote Lee press on nails or just the nails that you can get any brand from a store, you leave them natural and you basically file them down to fangs and then you take some denture cream and you can melt them into your teeth and they look just as real
that would work
as the store bought ones that you get that mount in from like Spencer Gifts or whatever. They look just as real. They're unbelievable. And with one caveat, one advantage is they're just really easy to take out, and they you can basically custom to fit you anytime. So I was a vampire that year in '83. I remember Walt Strickland being a vampire in '84, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool costume. So I wasn't that year, but the next year I was like a vampire like 3 or 4 years there. Yeah. You know, like I just always because of the blood.
Vampire's pretty easy because you just have to look human.
That's right, and I wanted the fake blood
accents. Yeah,
I wanted the blood capsules.
Yeah.
You put the blood capsules in your mouth. You pop the blood. Yeah, remember that taste of the blood capsule?
No, never chewed into it.
Oh man, what a.
But I remember being, even as a kid, I was particular, and I remember after a few years being so disgusted by the Ben Cooper lack of detail and accuracy that I just started. Then I can remember a spell where I just kind of made my own costume each year.
Well, that's cool though.
But it would be something like an 8 or 9 year old would do. I would go as a soldier or something. I'd make little grenades out of paper and hook them, or I'd go. I remember one year I just cut up a T-shirt and tried to do something
like a zombie or something,
zombie type thing. I don't remember how well it came off, and things like that. I like Halloween. I've never gotten into it to the level that you have. Now, JT and Abby, JT especially, they like dressing up.
Oh yeah. Well, kids, I think cosplay all year round.
Yeah. And because JT's been, when he was little, we found him a cool Dracula outfit from the actual 1931
right
Dracula. And he did that. I think I mentioned when we found the burlap ghost face and made him that costume, and then his Freddy costume he did, and then when he freaked the kid out being Michael Myers. But I've never been as much of a geek as I am. I've never been much into costumes or cosplay.
Yeah.
A whole lot. Never done cosplay in my life.
Well, no, I've never done cosplay, but I will do, I love Halloween stuff. And the jumping on what you're saying about that your mom entering you into that Halloween costume contest. I would enter it in every year in elementary school, maybe 3 or 4 times. I entered it, and maybe not every year, but every 3, maybe 4 times. Never won it. Finally in 7th grade, Alf is a big thing. Alf is a really big thing. Maybe 6th grade. 6th grade Alf is a big thing. And my brother gets me that really expensive Alf costume from Toys R Us.
Oh, really?
It was a full body costume.
Alf.
Full body costume with a full hairy mask. Yeah. And I always wanted that full body suit like Chewbacca, so I could either be a werewolf or Chewbacca or whatever. And I go back as a 6th grader. And this is 4th grader. No, she's another 5th grader there. She's dressed as Rainbow Bright. Mm-hmm. I won that year. I was like, oh yeah, I won that year. Yeah. So that was like I got to finally take that prize.
Now, if I ever break down in my old age and go to a convention, I will cosplay as a Jedi. I will spend the money to get a really nice Jedi outfit and do that. But I did dress up one time for Halloween. Melinda was sick, and so I had to take the kids by myself trick or treating. They were small. And so I put on black pants. I had a black long sleeve shirt, and it was one of those Octobers where it was not cold.
Oh God, yeah, brutal.
And I had a black cloak with a hood, and I had a chrome silver kind of death's head mask. Mm-hmm. And so I put all that on. And I took the kids, and I put on gloves and everything. I mean, I was hot.
Oh God,
and not the good kind of hot.
In Georgia,
yeah. And I took the kids, but I will say, I did scare no less than 2 little kids. Well, no, not intentionally. They just were walking and saw me and were like, "Nope,
I'm out." That's right.
They turned the other way. So I felt proud of that.
Well,
as I'm sure JT did by making those kids stay in the car when he dressed up as Michael Myers.
Right. So, well, you mentioned as you got older, you started making you were disappointed with Ben Cooper too, and I think that's the whole point. The kids grow out of that. It's not that you lose the vibe. And even in elementary school, they used to let us parade, and they have a Halloween parade where we're walking through the hallways all dressed up. Yeah. So the kids that want to do that,
my schools never did that.
Really?
Yeah,
Claxton Elementary School did. It was awesome. So thank you, teachers, for making that happen. Yeah. But I will say this: the interesting thing is that So as I got older, I did the same thing too. After that, I think when you get in middle school, then it stopped. You kind of you still like Halloween, but you don't want to be that awkward season. Can I dress up? Can I not? How does this work? So some kids were always too cool for school, but I was like, nah, this is cool stuff.
Yeah.
So by the time I got into high school, I was like, you would have days you'd dress up on Halloween and whatnot. And I don't really remember, there was a period there where I don't remember, I mentioned the Freddy Glove thing, that was happening about 8th grade, so I was still doing that stuff. But then when I was a senior, the really cool thing was I was involved with a haunted house over in Daisy. In Daisy, Georgia, they had this haunted house that was an old railroad depot.
Oh, cool.
And it was really cool, and it was perfectly designed for a haunted house because it creaked anyway, and you had to walk through in a long corridor to get there. So that year, though, this is kind of a double story. That year, my friend Jimmy Schumann had owned a little hobby shop right by my house. And Jimmy, he was all into that kind of stuff too. He was big time into costumes, and he could order the high-end masks.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the hobby shop. So I ordered a really nice skull. I think my junior year, that's what it was. But my senior year, it was cool because all of a sudden, I said, hey, Jimmy, I bought this facial stuff and this that go on my face, these appliances. Can you airbrush the rest of it?
Wow.
On me. And he did. So I'm one of the hosts for this haunted house.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw me. It was exactly recessed. The whole. I was the devil again, by the way. A little bit of Chris coming back at you. But this was terrifying looking.
Yeah.
I go to school that way. So every day. So I met Jimmy like at 6:00 that morning. He airbrushed it. So I had the full appliances, the horns and everything, and the full robe.
Wow.
And he airbrushed all of it, my skin, everything. So I go to school, and it was freaking people out. It was like, my teachers were like, Chris, I cannot look at you. Oh, can you face the wall?
I'm about to say, in the deep South, the heart of the Bible Belt, that's not always a good idea.
Well, you're lucky
they didn't burn you for a witch.
No, that's right. Well, the funny thing is that, so there's that. But the yearbook they got a hold of it, and they're taking a picture of it. They took a picture of it for the yearbook, but it ended up being black and white. So I just looked like these two sunken eyes, with the tongue sticking out. It was kind of crazy, but it was still one of my better, Halloween costumes. Now I'll give a shout out to Jimmy. Jimmy, I just found out he passed away 2 weeks ago, and I tell you what, he was one of these guys that he was a hell of a chess player. We used to play together every day after school. And he was brutal with his knights, man. He would wear me out. He taught me to really be defensive against knights. So Jimmy Schumann, thank you for all that you do. You're part of my Halloween love, and I'm gonna miss you, man. I really will. But that was one that year, and the year before that, or a couple years before that, my brother. This is the most mark. The reason why I got that idea for that was because my brother remember, it was Living Faces. Mm-hmm. That was the brand. That was the company. They always showed you what you could do on the cover. Well, what they did for the cover was they had a Hollywood artist put these things on people. Then you got it, and you're sitting there trying to make it work with makeup, and it doesn't work.
No.
So
never did.
What my brother did, he did the same exact thing. He got the skull one and got it airbrushed. Mm-hmm. He took it, I think, to Fun Tees and got the guy to airbrush it. So that's how I got the idea.
Oh, yeah.
So he had the skull, and he was a haunted. But here was the haunted house. Check this out. It was the abattoiry, the old slaughterhouse in Hagen. Mm-hmm. That was the haunted house. So you walk into this place that smelled of concrete and stale air.
Yeah.
And I mean, they had a Christine. They had a Christine a car that would run out and it would, and the horn would hit and the two lights. That was the first jump scare you saw.
Wow.
So after you pissed yourself.
That couldn't have gone wrong any kind of way.
It was, some people just right to the end. It was once they hit that. But I was in the stinking coffin, and it was a real coffin. So I was
Never been in a coffin.
They had me there as lifting it up, and that's what I had to do. And oh man, it was, but going through that and then being in that was my kind of, I had two legitimate haunted houses that I did, but the first one was my Uncle Troy's and Cousin Troy's, same name, Junior, and he did the haunted carport. He did the thing like you were talking about your dad did on the front porch, Troy did that, and he put out, this was the first time I ever saw dry ice and how dry ice works. Yeah. So when I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, this created a whole layer of fog across
Won't
the
dry ice,
carport.
won't dry ice burn you if you
Will.
touch it?
Yeah, it's very dangerous. So if you're a child watching this, you use gloves when you're handling dry ice, and read instructions and make sure you're safe with that stuff. But you can grab dry ice and put it in water, and when you do it, it just evaporates. It creates that cool effect, you know. And you can actually get it locally. You can actually get dry ice here in town at Ellis Meat Market.
That's how they used to create fog for movies and all.
Yep. Dry
In fact, a quick aside that made me think, in a funny little story from the movie The Wolfman. In the very end scene, the Wolfman has kidnapped the girl, and so they're running through the woods, and I mean it's just the fog is that thick off the ground, and I saw from dry ice. Well, in the scene he gets attacked and he drops the girl, so they do that. Well, and then the movie, the scene goes on. Well, the lady who played the female lead in The Wolfman, she later told, she said the fumes from the dry ice or whatever they were using made her pass out. And they forgot about her.
Yeah, he told me about that.
And then they didn't, the cleaning crew found her. Not only did she pass out, they forgot about her.
Because she's under the fog.
Because she's covered up. And then the cleaning crew's like, there's a woman here. But talking about trick-or-treating, my kids...
The Hollywood safety standards have gotten a lot more rigorous.
A little better, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's like, you got to be calling roll when you leave. You do.
Is Janet here? Where is Janet?
Where's Janet? Did she
she's in the grave.
She's a drinker.
Yeah.
But my kids, they've always loved dressing up, both of them. Now JT, once he started, probably 8th grade on, he would dress up, but he wouldn't trick or treat. He would come to your party or he'd do things. Now Abby's sneaky. Every year she's like, because she's in 10th grade now, and every year she's like, I'm wondering if my friends were going to dress up. I was like, you're not going to trick or treat. She's like, no, we're just going to walk through the neighborhood.
You need to let that girl trick or treat.
And then every year, like I said, so like 8th, 9th, 10th grade, every year, I'm like, Abby, you're too old trick or treat.
She's not.
She's like, Dad, we're just gonna walk around. And then like every time she comes home with a
bag
full
of candy. That's Abby.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's awesome. Yeah, but she's being the theatrics, and I was into that too. She's got that vibe for it. Yeah. That's what and that's what Halloween. I think that's what one of the cool things about Halloween. It gave you that one chance to be theatrical.
Yep.
You could experiment with makeup, and I told you that me and my that Troy and all were into it and all. Well, when we got so much into the special effects and the makeup, one year, this wasn't Halloween, but we had gotten so good at doing the fake blood and all that, that one year I created a squib on his chest.
Really?
Yeah. But the way I did it was just like they do the real ones, except I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And so we took a Coke can, flattened it out, taped it to his bare skin, because we knew there would be concussion from the explosion that I'm about to tell you about. Then we took Karo syrup and red food coloring. And by the way, it works better if you use the dark Karo syrup, because the red still adds the color. So we filled it full with a Ziploc bag, taped it to this. I mean, it's bulging out. So I'm videotaping Troy with this camera, and Troy goes, "I am now lighting a firecracker to my chest." And he sits there and he does, and he puts his hands up, and all of a sudden, just blows up, and he goes, and he goes like this. He goes, and as soon as he hits that, I mean, it gushes out, and he goes, and he fakes it, and it goes down. And when he did, unbeknownst to us, us kids, the next door neighbor was watching the entire thing, and he was an older gentleman that thought I shot it. He didn't put two and two in with the camera.
Right.
That was a camera. He thought it was some kind of cannon or something, because I mean it was a firecracker that went off in a kid's chest. And he comes out there. He couldn't get a word out from cussing so much that he said, because he was freaking out. And Troy stands up, and blood is gushing out of his chest. He goes, "What? We're just playing."
Yeah,
he's okay.
Wow.
And so it took him this gentleman, this elderly gentleman, a good 20, 30 minutes to calm down. I got a call from my grandma. It was my grandma's I knew who it was. It was my grandma's brother-in-law. Yeah. She calls back. She goes, "Chris, what did you and Troy do next door?"
Did you kill Troy?
And I'm like, "Nah, Grandma, he's cool. You can speak to him." But it was, so it was all those things rolled into one. And how when you
y'all
do
putting
that,
a lot of faith into untested.
Troy was putting a lot of faith in me, and he and I got into.
We were putting a lot of faith that a little piece of aluminum was going to stop a.
Okay, it was layered like this: aluminum, Karo syrup with the Ziploc.
Yeah.
There was a Ziploc bag involved.
Oh, well, that makes it okay.
You know, Troy was like, "All right,
Forget Kevlar. Just cover yourself
I
in
know.
Ziploc.
Well, and the funny thing is, he had it stuck in his shirt, so he's clearly lighting the fuse, but the fuse went under the shirt, and it blew. I mean, it was. Thank God it didn't hurt him, but the aluminum, okay. Troy was okay.
Okay.
But that was one of those things. Now the getting into that. So in college, I mean, I never stopped with this. You know me, I love this stuff. So in college, the coolest thing, Jimmy got me that Boba Fett helmet that I have in my office.
Yep.
That was the same guy I was telling you about that, he got me the Boba Fett helmet, and I realized, okay, you don't have any costumes. And when we were in college, you couldn't get a legitimate Star Wars costume.
No.
They didn't exist. So you had to make it. So I went to Walmart, and I bought some trash cans that were ABS plastic and cut out the armor, from and basically I think I didn't rivet it to a Dickies suit because I didn't have a rivet gun, but I think I screwed it in and bolted it to a Dickies suit,
Yeah.
And I get to this party. I look okay. I look like a good college costume. It's a good college costume. I get this party, and it's a music. I think it was a music party on the pond over by Buffalo's, and I get there, and these two 6-foot Jawas, go, oh my God, and they lift me up, and I'm thinking, oh my God, the irony that Boba Fett is being lifted in the air by two 6-foot Jawa.
Yeah.
It was that one super tall Jawa, I was like, holy crap, there's two of them in a room. Yeah. So that wasn't the first time they picked on a Mandalorian.
Yeah, I know. This actually didn't happen at Halloween, but it was freaky. Where my parents' house is in relation to my house. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a trail that connects the two. It's probably 1/8 of a mile between it. But I'd walked over to my parents' house or something, and it was this is probably a good 10 years ago. So it's gotten dark, and I'm walking back on the trail. And not only is it dark night, but there's trees, big tall pine trees. So basically, and I don't have a flashlight with me, and basically to walk the trail properly with no light, you kind of look up and see where the trees meet and kind of use that to guide yourself. So I'm walking and I turn the corner, and there in the middle of the trail is someone with a flashlight.
Yeah.
And they're holding it at a good, I guess arm level, 3 foot off the ground, and they're holding it and they're standing in the middle of the trail. So naturally I stop because I'm like, what is this? And my first thought is JT.
Right.
JT at this time was probably 10 or so.
Okay.
So I'm like, JT, is that you? No response. Flashlight.
Okay.
I'm like, Melinda? No response. But there's still someone there holding a flashlight. And I'm like, And so I'm like, who's there?
This point,
I'm like, seriously, JT, if this is you, tell me.
Right.
And no response. Flashlight holding steady.
Not walking forward.
Not walking forward, but not moving or. I'm like, okay, I can. And my thought was I can backtrack and go to my parents, but then my next thought is whoever this is between me and my family.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so at this point, it becomes that fight or flight thing. So I'm like, all of a sudden, the built-in gladiator instincts kick in. I'm like, this is as good as any day to die.
That's right.
I can remember specifically balling up my fist and proceeding. Whoever this is standing between me and my family, I'm at least going to make an accounting of myself.
Right.
And so I proceed at a kind of a trot. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And I get up to it and I stop. And at that point I can tell what it is. It wasn't JT. It wasn't anybody. It was a flashlight. JT had brought one of the big 55-gallon trash cans and turned it upside down and put it on the trail. He had put a flashlight on top and taped to the side. One side was a whisk, and on the other side was some kind of pipe. He had been watching Doctor Who. He made a Dalek and left it on the footpath between my house and my parents' house.
And you're ready to kick this Dalek's ass.
Like I said, I was ready. I was prepared to. I was getting to my family one way or the other. and sitting there was a homemade Dalek by a 10-year-old.
Cut the scene, Rob punching the barrel like this, letting everyone's for.
So, like a minute later, I realized I've still got my fist clenched, and I'm like, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, he made a Dalek.
Yeah.
And left it
there.
In the middle of the trail.
Just left the light on.
Yeah, and just left the light on. But that's what was weird about it, because you walk down a trail, you see a flashlight at 3 or 4 feet up.
It's a hand.
You're like, somebody's holding a flashlight. There's somebody there. This is not a figment of my imagination, but it was.
Golly.
So JT freaked me out. 10-year-old JT freaked me out with a
Dalek.
A homemade Dalek.
How do you say it? Dalek or Dalek?
I say Dalek.
Okay.
Dalek.
Right. I know that they're British, so they say it as
Dalek. Dalek.
I've never seen one single episode of Doctor Who.
So he had made that freaked me out.
That's awesome.
Dalek.
Well, that it's kind of interesting that I'm gonna give a big shout out to Dalton Hutchison on that, because with the store windows I showed last week that I did that well. Dalton has been really cool about helping me with stuff around the store, and not only work at the store, but we've been coming up with these really cool ideas. And one of the things he did is he took one of these lights that are in here, and I've got several of those pumpkins that they came with the lights that fade out. I mean, like the Christmas lights, the big C9 lights or whatever. And they so Dalton realized that I had a bunch of those empty bottoms around, so he took a lot of these and put them in. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. It was great ideas. But he's a huge Halloween fan. Like, I think he's even bigger than me.
Yeah.
And so like right now at Plaid Dot, you've got 2 huge Halloween fans, and it's the whole season. So I got my, I have my triggers. I have my, when I smell vinyl, it takes me right back.
Yeah.
Because that was every year when we were kids. You'd walk into the store and you could smell that vinyl, and it had that distinct smell, Then you'd see the costumes, then you go plundering through all the props, And like I said, these were a Big Lot special when Big Lots was selling these for like $10. But I've got some of the ones I'll probably bring for Dapper Cadaver and a few other things like that. We're just
because now we even have a costume store.
It burnt down.
Did it burn down?
It burned down. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, it burned
Only
down.
went there once. I went there to find JT's Freddy sweater.
Okay, well, again.
And it was a medium, and JT's not a medium fellow.
Right.
And but it was the only one they had, so we bought it, and it worked because what I did, it was like clinching, but I just put slashes in it.
Yeah, to help stretch it. Yeah. Well, actually, that's what they said. That's actually part of the reason they said that the reason why Robert Englund's glove had the hole in the hand, when they have the slits here, it helps the mobility of him do this.
Yeah.
The second thing is when they have the hole right here, it helps you put the rivets in the knuckle joint, so you can actually drive the punch through the rivet. So that's actually kind of an interesting little thing there.
Yeah.
There's a whole, for those of you guys, and I'm sure that the people who watch this that are into this kind of stuff anyway. There are people that obsess over the Nightmare gloves and the Freddy Krueger. The whole mythology.
They made their own.
Yeah. Well, and Dalton did too, and I'm actually going to be making one too. But that or where the scars are, where the weld joints drip, how it is in the movie. They want it just like.
Well, probably vary too, because they do the same gloves.
They weren't the same gloves
every time.
They got damaged, and if you look at Freddy's, I think it's his index finger. If you look at even the one in the movie, even when you see the photo stills, it's right about there. The blade is broken off.
Yeah.
And what they used for those blades, they used case tomato knives for those blades. So so they're curved, they're curved, and they're not serrated or anything like that. They grind the blades down.
You've got stunt gloves, you've got gloves for the stunt man that don't fit Robert Englund.
Right.
So a bunch of gloves.
But that one, even if you look at Freddy's glove, it's broken off right there because they had to re-weld it because it broke off in the shoot. Well, a grungy thing like that, you expect it to be, grungy and kind of homemade. But that's what that was. That's kind of the thing with me. I think about all those Halloween memories I have from the school, things that we did, and you didn't even bring up. I can't believe you didn't bring up Haunted Forest.
Well, I was about to. I just you were talking.
I'm yapping my gap.
Yeah, I remember the Haunted Forest.
This is my jam.
Yeah, the Haunted Forest. It's Georgia Southern University, which is located where we're at. Every year, I don't know. They don't do it anymore, do they?
Well, they do it, but they this year they're not.
Yeah.
They
would have the Haunted Forest, and they would make a trail through some of the woods on campus, and then they would have. I think what everybody remembers about the Haunted Forest is the guy with the chainsaw
and the mattress.
as a kid, all that scared me.
Right.
I've been to the haunted forest twice. I went once as a kid, like probably fifth, sixth grade, and it scared the bejesus out of me because
Right.
one is I think everybody who's been to the haunted forest has had this same thought: what if an actual killer took out the guy with the chainsaw?
And became the guy.
And
Was
brought
the
in
guy.
a real chainsaw
Yeah.
because it did have a guy with a chainsaw and it was a real chainsaw, but it didn't have a blade.
Right. No, yeah, that's right. Right. No,
I mean, it had a blade, it didn't have the teeth on it, the chain
right.
part. But he would, as you walk by, he would crank it up and hold it out and make a loud
That's
noise.
the worst, yeah.
And now the second time I went, I was in high school, and I went with a group of friends, and I remember being really annoyed because at that point things didn't really scare me a whole lot like that because I know they're not going to kill me.
You hope not.
Yeah, you hope not. But there was one of the girls that was in the group. She chose me to be her anchor going through it. So she like latched onto my arm.
Right.
And so we're walking through the mattress, and she's about to rip my arm off, and she's about to make me fall. Between her and the mattress, I'm about to fall.
For the watcher, for
Yeah.
the viewers watching, the mattress is over a hole in the ground,
Yeah,
and
that's
when
right.
you walked on it, it was really uneasy because
So it wasn't like you stepped up onto a mattress. All of a sudden, the trail became a mattress.
Yeah, that's right. And
And so I just remember being more annoyed than anything else that time in high school. Because, like I said, there was a big group of people. If you can imagine me going out with a big group of people.
Wow.
And but I remember that. And the only other thing I remember, we never did it at Halloween, but my friends and I, we used to go down Ghost Road in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And such. And in high school, that was a fun thing to do. Ghost Road was supposedly a haunted road.
Every town has one of these.
Yeah. Where you drive down the road and you'll see a light from the distance and it'll come through your car, and it's some headless ghost who fell asleep on a train track or something, got his head cut off, and he's supposedly your car's supposed to stall out, and he's looking for his head, and
That's
all this, that, and the other. But the coolest thing about Ghost Road, there was an old abandoned church on Ghost Road that we would all stop at and get out. And the whole reason you went, you took girls,
okay.
and hoping that they would be all scared and they would latch on to
Clinching,
you,
okay.
and not make you fall down mattresses and everything else. But that was the whole fun of Ghost Road, because from Statesboro, it's a pretty good drive out to Brooklyn and down Ghost Road.
Yeah.
To do. But we that's the only really haunted thing I can think about Statesboro, except for the Beaver House.
Well, and then ours was in Claxton. You had Bull Creek, and Bull Creek, the same kind of thing was supposed to happen. It was a small little bridge, country bridge, right? It couldn't have been more than 40 feet long. It was a small country bridge, and it was a creek. A relatively good sized creek, but it was a creek, wasn't a river. And it was in the middle of you could see all the stars at night. It was super dark out there, and really haunting looking out there. And there was always the mystery. But the whole idea was, if you got in your car and you got in the middle of the bridge, if you turned your car off, eventually you would start rolling her backwards, or you would feel somebody pull you back in.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was, and your mind starts working on you anyway when you do that. So. There was a few of those, and I think every town has that. Every city, every town has their urban legends and myths.
They do. And you've heard about the Beaver House, supposedly. Yeah, the Beaver House is supposed to be haunted by the ghost of a little girl.
Okay,
And
I didn't know that.
A lot of the employees and owners say they've all claimed they've seen her.
I take that back. I have heard
and
that. Yeah.
such. And now, something you ever get a chance to do if you haven't done it, 2 Octobers ago, in every week, our local school system has a week off. It's for the fair. But so two Octobers ago, we went the kids were off, and we went to Savannah on a haunted tour.
I've done that.
And that was really interesting.
Those are good.
It really not so much for the ghost stories, but just learning more about River Street.
Yeah.
Like there's certain bricks that are marked with a star or something on it.
Yeah.
And every one of those is for all the bodies of the unmarked grave bodies that they found.
Really?
They were putting it all together.
Really, I didn't know that.
Because basically River Street was built on the mass unmarked graves of people.
Holy moly! Yeah, I did hear that. Now, it's kind of funny that we talk about this kind of stuff, because no kidding. Today, when I'm doing some stuff in the garage, and I put my Halloween playlist on.
Yeah.
I'm big into Halloween playlist and Christmas playlist, so I started playing it. If there's a song that you have not heard, I don't know if you ever heard this. It's It's riboflavin flavored, non-carbonated, polyunsaturated blood. You ever heard that?
No.
Well, it's a killer. It's kind of like a Monster Mash theme.
Yeah.
But it's a play on that. But you talk about a guy who made fake blood for vampires that weren't getting enough of blood, you know. But no kidding. So I go down the road to pick up Ashley lunch today and do a few extra little errands, and coming back on Savannah Avenue, what crosses my path? A black cat. A black cat, you know, and here I am. I'm like, okay, this is definitely setting up the mood for the Halloween, and it was beautiful, pristine, not a single speck on it. Black cat, you know. I'm like, oh god, that's crazy.
There's on River Street. One of the haunted things on River Street is a haunted boarding house
on River Street in Savannah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tried to get Melinda to let us stay there, and she won't do it.
She won't do it.
And because it's got a pretty cool story behind it, but yeah, she always wants to go to. Melinda's always want to go to New England, and see all the leaves and everything else. And I said, okay, here's the deal: we'll go to New England, but every night we stay in a haunted hotel because like New England's full of them, and haunted hotels.
She wouldn't take you up on that?
And she's like, nope.
Oh, come on.
She's like, we're still going to New England, but we're not staying in the hotel.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, she does, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know if there's any more. I mean, I'm sure I got a million of them, but not keep it too long. Yeah. So that was kind of our little Halloween memories, you know. And
trip down memory lane.
That's right. Now, some of you guys have sent. I'm gonna go ahead and interject real quick. Leave that skull alone. Leave that alone. That's a prop, son.
It's my
You gotta back it up to that screen. You gotta get the chin in frame. I'm watching here. But okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and share. Some of you guys have shared with us some of your collections or projects that you're done. So this one's kind of fit a little bit of Halloween theme in there. It's got a little pumpkin-esque to it, but this one, Michael Henley sent this one in, so we're going to show this up too later on today on this in the episode. So thank you for sending that stuff in. Again, remember, if you want to share your collection, you can send it to mystuff@genxvault.com. I'm sure I'll throw that on the screen somewhere. But anyway, that was our Halloween stories, Halloween memories, and I have a lot of good ones, and I'm going to create some more this year. So, Rob,
yes,
do you know what time it is?
It's time for show and tell, boys and girls.
So, for show and tell, my show and tell this week, I have picked the 2017 the 2017 Pennywise from It, and this is the Bill Skarsgård version.
Yep.
I first saw this figure a couple weeks ago. This is for whatever reason, this is just absolutely terrifying to me. This look of this clown, his eyes, the way his grin goes all the way up to his eyes. You know, this is NECA. And they did such a good job of this figure. I mean, they got hidden joints in the arm. They've got the hidden knee joints. It's just fantastic. They're really. I tell you what, man. I'm not trying to bust out on McFarlane because I think he really reinvented the industry. But man, that's got all of the trimmings. You know, I mean,
NECA's top notch.
It is top notch. I gotta say that. I feel like McFarlane these days, not everything they do, but a lot of times McFarlane are really just making statuettes.
Yeah.
You know, whereas NECA they're actually making a figure.
Yep.
You know, a posable figure. And they do such a good job. I mean, the fact these little pom-pom balls and the
they're making figures with the same quality of a statuette.
That's right.
With the same detail.
Exactly. It's the same detail of a statuette.
Accessories. They give you accessories.
Well, that's why I have that over there.
Yeah.
This is what I want to show you. So I feel like this figure is, I mean, the detail on that with the stitching in the back and the all that. And let me be clear on this with complete transparency. I still haven't seen this movie. I like the figure so much. I'm like, I'm probably going to see the movie. Maybe that'll be in our Halloween watch.
No, I've seen it. I don't want to watch it again.
Okay, well, don't tell me about it then.
I won't.
I saw the original Tim Curry version.
Yeah.
Actually, for one of the things.
That was a miniseries, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought about doing was this week. I thought about saying, so what I've got is the 2017 Tim Curry Pennywise, and you going, that's Bill Skarsgård. And I'd be like, No, this one's Tim Curry. And you'd be like, no, dude, that's Bill Skarsgård. I'm like, no, man, I think I know this. And just really, really digging you in. And like, I'm like, and then
here we go again.
And then posting up the images, Chris is actually right. Yeah. Driving you crazy.
You enjoyed that last week.
I did. Yeah. I actually researched it.
Just for
the one week. Oh, it was the 1 week I actually researched. It was 1 week I researched, yeah. But so Robin mentioned last week about the neck accessories, and he was right about that. That really it started getting me thinking about, like, I'm going to show you guys a couple more things about the accessories that come with it. And I didn't take them out because I didn't want to lose them. But this one came with the hand holding the balloon.
Yep.
Another really pissed off head.
Is that a hardwire?
It is. So it floats in the air.
So if he holds him,
in the air.
That's a nice touch.
That is a good touch.
Yep.
The head.
Yep.
And I did take one accessory out because it's sick. It is just absolutely sick. And that is the SS Georgie.
The boat.
Oh, man.
The boat that lured poor Georgie to his doom.
The SS Georgie right here. The SS Georgie.
Yeah, that's hardcore right there.
Yeah, I mean, well, they show it on the cover too. It's just it's bad. That raincoat and all that. I mean, but out of all the figures that that NECA has done, and I don't know how that. It's kind of interesting, and you may know a little bit more about this. I haven't really studied the licensure of the toy industry as much as some others. Being that McFarlane, I would imagine there's a moratorium on the time frame they have to do it. Like when a label, when an artist, when we
buy
sign
the rights for a certain number of years,
or you get to make a certain number of figures, and if you don't, that was the interesting thing with Star Wars. Kenner had the right to manufacture Star Wars indefinitely. All they had to do was if they didn't make a toy that year, they had to come up with $10,000. And so they blew that stinking contract.
Yep.
And then they had to renegotiate the contract, and it cost them a fortune to renegotiate that contract.
7 or 8 years ago, Hasbro renegotiated the deal, and it was over $1 billion.
That's what I'm saying. That's how they
get the licensing for Star Wars again.
That's right. That's how. I mean, and I'm assuming that Hasbro bought Kenner.
Yeah, Hasbro bought Kenner.
Right.
They bought Kenner out way back when.
Yeah. But for my pick for show and tell this week,
Pennywise,
and this is the Bill Skarsgård. How do you say his name?
Skarsgård. He's I think he's one of the sons of Stellan Skarsgård, who was Doctor
Strangelove.
No,
Shivago.
He was in Thor and Avengers. He was the Dr. Stelwig.
Okay.
Somebody, but he's a big time actor.
Okay.
And he was also in Pirates of the Caribbean. He was Will's father.
Okay.
In Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, what else has Bill Skarsgård been in?
I don't know. I think his brother, he was in True Blood and Tarzan. He was Tarzan in the Tarzan movie that came out a few years ago.
Okay. His brother was, or he was?
They all have the same last name. His brother is Alexander Skarsgård, and he is the one that was in True Blood and the Tarzan movie. His father is the father is the most respected actor out of the whole family. He does a lot of indie work, but he also does some big stuff too.
Was he the one that Loki had hypnotized with the Tesseract? Yep. Okay, so he was that. So he's a good actor. He's been in a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So my pick this week is the 2017 Pennywise from NECA, the Skarsgård one. All right, Rob, what you got?
Mine is something I picked up probably 10 to 12 years ago. My favorite of the mass market stores, my favorite toy store for searching for collectibles was KB Toys.
I know.
Love KB Toys.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I love KB Toys is because KB Toys was a relatively small store, and it was packed.
It was.
You had to, and so when you went into KB's Toys, you had to dig because they had no rhyme or reason to where they put things. So you really had to dig. Well, one day I was digging. I had gone to the very back of the store, and I had found.
That's massive.
And the things I found, this is obviously the Frankenstein monster, which I think they did finally say calling him Frankenstein is correct. They actually did name him because everybody says, "Oh, that's Frankenstein." No, that's the Frankenstein monster. I know things, but I think they finally did say that it is legitimately correct if you call the monster Frankenstein
because he was a creation.
Because he was created by Frankenstein, and it just kind of became his
mantra
name and everything. But this is a very big figure.
God, it's massive.
And like I said, I was at KB Toys, but this is made by a toy company called Toy Island.
Okay.
Who made a lot more stuff than I thought when I looked them up. But this is a Build-A-Figure. And for those of you who don't know what a Build-A-Figure is, let me geek-explain this to you. Geek-explain this. A Build-A-Figure is both a cool and kind of sneaky thing that toy companies do.
This is heavy.
Where they sell things, they'll sell figures. Usually come in what they call a wave or a collection, when they usually release 5 or 6 at a time. And what a Build-A-Figure does is you buy a 6-inch figure, and it comes with a leg, and then the other 6-inch figure comes with another leg, arm. Then one comes with an arm, one comes with another arm, a head, and a torso. So to make this, you have to buy 6 figures. And so at KB Toys, what I happened up on as I was digging through the piles of stuff they had, Toy Island had the rights to Universal, and they made 6 Universal figures.
Okay.
And it was the classics: Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy. And when you bought all of those, because when I first saw them, I was like, ooh, Dracula. And I was like, I'm going to get that. And then I got to look, I was like, why does Dracula have Frankenstein's head on there? And I looked, I saw Frankenstein, and it had a big torso. And I was like, and then I looked at the back, and it was like, because this was my first experience with Build-A-Figure.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. Well, I'm going to, and then I looked, I had them on. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this. So I bought all 6. And at KB Toys, most of the things were fairly cheap.
Okay, I see. It comes out.
And so I put together, not only did I get the 6 figures, or the 5 figures, I also got able to make a really big Frankenstein. And I kind of like it. I mean, it's not a lot of detail, but it's
to be clear, this figure was not in scale with the rest of them.
Oh no, the others were about the size of Pennywise.
Kind of like Marvel did with Galactus, I think.
Yeah, they do, and that's a lot of times that's what they'll do with a Build-A-Figure is there'll be Marvel does this a lot and DC does this a lot where there's a big figure. This is actually, let me show you here. I've seen you do this twice. This wasn't exactly the greatest made figure. This is the torso is supposed to be all one piece, but it comes apart. So
it's still a good quality figure.
Yeah, it is, and it stands up good, and it's big.
Do his hands? Oh, they do. They rotate. Yeah. Okay.
But that's what these companies would do. Say if you had like a Thanos, who's a little bit bigger than all the others, Marvel might do a Build-A-Figure thing where you buy 6 regular size figures, and they each come with a piece to make a bigger Thanos.
Right.
And like I said, it's both a cool thing, but also
sneaky.
A little bit sneaky, because sometimes you have to buy, if you really want the Build-A-Figure, you have to buy some less than stellar figures to get that one piece.
Right.
Or you can try to get it on eBay, but then they jack the price up real high.
But in your case,
you have to decide but I've got several Build-A-Figures.
But you wanted all the Universal stuff.
Oh yeah, well yeah. For me, this is a slam dunk.
Right.
Because I got it's funny now. I actually don't have those figures displayed because I got the Diamond Select ones were better looking.
Right.
But so this is the only one left from that wave that I still have displayed. But the Build-A-Figures are nice. I've gotten several. One time JT, when he was little, he really wanted a Bane Build-A-Figure. So I tried to find the individual pieces on eBay, and finally I just ended up buying the whole lot
for the Batman. Just all the Batman stuff that you get Bane.
For the Bane to get the Bane figure. And the latest one I bought was Fantastic Four.
Let me jump in on that real quick. Yeah. My nephew Todd, one of his children's name is Bruce. The other's name is Bane.
Cool.
For that very reason.
Really?
Yes, from Batman. He literally named his child Bane and the other one Bruce. So that is why.
One day on a future episode, I'll tell you the very really cool way that DC Comics introduced Bane.
Okay.
And for another episode outside of Halloween.
Save that one.
But it's really good. But yeah, I was looking around. I thought, what will go good for show and tell on this Halloween themed month? That's right. And you can't get more classic than
again
Frankenstein,
the Universal monster. Yep. And last week you were showing your figures in front of the mic, and you couldn't see them. Yeah. This one you can.
Yeah, he can look over
this
the
guy.
mic.
This guy's like taller than it gets.
It's a good figure, and it was a good find. And that used to be the joy. I love going to KB Toys. I mean, I like Toys R Us and all these other places. I had kind of a circuit I would make through Savannah.
Oh, Rob and I would, on a regular basis, we would call each other, hey man, you know what, they got this and that.
Yeah.
For the longest time, neither one of us could find Ephant Mon. I think I got you the Ephant Mon, right?
No, you actually went out and bought Ephant Mon off of eBay.
You did?
No, you did.
No, I've got mine from KB.
I thought you went out and paid like $20 for it because you said it was such a good figure.
No, I got it.
No, I got mine. I bought 2 at KB Toys for like $3 a piece.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's what I did.
You know.
Okay. So yeah, but Rob and I would call each other and all the time. Hey man, did you know that? Hey, Walmart just got Wave 2 in. Blah 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 of whatever it was. And at the time, it was all Star Wars. Because all the new movies were coming out, and Rob and I were just scouring the galaxy for.
Well, luckily for Melinda, KB Toys was at the mall.
And it was discounted.
Yeah, because I would spend a couple hours in KB Toys because I would take because I knew there was treasure, and you had to hunt for
That's
it.
right. Well, I'm going.
And I had to dig through, and she would just go do other things because I was going to take my time and find.
That's right.
Because, like I said, I think these were on the very back, and they were not out front. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I had to hunt to find all 6 or 5. I had to hunt to find all 5 to get all the pieces I needed to get the complete set.
That's still a great figure. I realize it's not the level of detail that you get in something like this, but it's still an incredibly good figure.
And I did a quick search, and if you want a complete set now, you're gonna have to shell out some money.
Shell out some cash.
Yep.
Well, and this one I meant to give a shout out to Galactic Comics. I picked it up this week at Galactic. Mm-hmm. Keith was there to help me out, and there was a lot of folks there that were again, Rob and I talked about last week supporting your local comic shop, and I gave a good shout out to Chris Brenneman over at the Infinite Realities. But this week, obviously, we have one right here in Statesboro that we both have gone there a lot, and it's Galactic Comic.
Galactic Comics and Games.
Yeah, and he's just started carrying posters, movie posters, and stuff like that.
I know. I picked up. JT picked up the Halloween poster.
That's what you were telling me?
And I picked up the Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back
That's
poster.
what you were telling. I thought that's what you meant. You got it from.
He doesn't listen to me.
I listened to him. I just didn't remember where.
Ashley knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I listen so much. I watch videos over and over.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so your pick.
My pick
is
that actually looks bigger than 12 inches. The 12 or 13 inch.
That's
Frankenstein.
Well, he should be bigger.
Yeah.
He should be
He's a
bigger.
big fella.
I would think that a normal person would be about that tall to him.
Yeah.
And he's a good head and a half.
Yeah, because Frankenstein, he was a big creature.
He does. They even detail the platforms.
Yep.
And which is kind of cool. They kept his platform shoes. Yeah. Yep. That Rob and I we talked so much about all the different things that we've done over the toy stores and all the different years, everything we've done over the years, and how we shop, and really and truly that's part of the fun. That's the treasure hunting, the part of the fun.
Oh yeah.
It really is, and
you miss that on the internet.
You do.
Because on the internet you just go, oh, there it is, click.
That's
wait
right.
for it to arrive.
And wait for it to walk.
Because the most fun I've had recently doing that, several months ago, we were up in Helen, Georgia, and we stopped off at a flea market. First time I've been to a flea market in years.
Oh right.
And I had so much fun just walking down the aisle.
Because
I was surprised at the amount of geek stuff.
Oh yeah.
That there was.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me.
And so I think it's that when you're on the internet, you find something because most of the time you're looking for it, or you're in an article. This is out now.
Yeah.
Oh well, let me get it. Or you get an email from your Entertainment Earth or something saying this is available now. Right. It's like, oh. But there's something about discovering something
that you didn't know when you didn't know that even existed.
Exactly.
And so it led you down a path. I mean, I agree. That's part of the toy collecting bug that you find, and you really don't even know that something exists, and then it leads you somewhere else, and it kind of scratches that itch, if you will.
Yeah, because this figure will always mean more to me than other figures that I've paid more for and are more detailed and all that, because there's a story to it.
That's right.
And such.
Right. And it takes you back to when that happened.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, okay. Well, guess what? You know what it's time for now?
Box of Mystery.
Nope.
Oh.
I got a bonus round.
It's time for a bonus round.
A bonus round.
A bonus
Are you cheating?
round. It's kind of a cheat.
I hate people who cheat.
But what I want to talk about, actuality. Oh my God, this is heavy. This is
heavy. That sarcophagus.
This is
mummy.
Rob had talked about the mummy.
The Diamond Select mummy.
Mm-hmm. This is awesome. Yeah. And since I did not open mine last, I'm gonna put this little it guy over here. Oh, I want to give a shout out. Let all you guys know about the NECA stuff. He stands on his own with no problem. So if you're listening, Todd McFarlane, make him stand up, man. So. But I'm gonna put it behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. So this is the extremely well done sarcophagus from Universal Studios Monster Series. Was it the Diamond Select?
It is Diamond Select, yes.
Okay, so but in this, Rob and I were talking last week, and if you saw the podcast, if you saw the episode, you remember I just was, I was like, I hadn't taken mine out of the box yet.
Yeah.
And I told you about that. I still hadn't taken mine out of the
because
box.
I sent the picture of my collection.
Right, he sent the picture. Do you know what's in this?
I assume it's the mummy.
It's not.
It's not.
I
Someone's
3D
been
printed.
busy.
I 3D printed some pumpkins,
All right.
and I did. It was
And
not.
they smell.
They smell of
Yeah.
fresh covered. What do you call it? This is actually acrylic and the sealer.
Oh, that's cool.
And now here's the cool thing. Well, here's what's even cooler, and here's why this is not a cheat. I'm giving you one.
Oh,
I'm going to give you
cool.
it's to scale with 12-inch action
Yeah,
figures.
that's
so
awesome.
I decided to make one. You can pick which one you want.
Okay.
I made a few rookie mistakes when I was painting them. I gave Michael Henley again another shout out. I gave him a call. Michael's pictures who I'm throwing up on the board today. And I said, "Hey, Michael, what kind of paint are you using?" And he said, "Well, I'm using acrylic." And he goes, "You can get apple barrel, you can get this and that." And I said, "Okay." Well, I didn't know how to do the dirty wash yet. Right, so I made the mistake of it didn't.
Is that where you like put paint on your brush and you wipe it all off?
Yes,
and then you go over it.
And I didn't know you were supposed to cut it with water, so I painted in there. So it gave it more of a green feel, but it still doesn't look bad.
No, it looks good.
No, it doesn't look bad at all.
No, I like that.
Yeah, and the top does.
I like this one.
Yeah, you can have that one then.
Yeah,
you
that's
can
awesome.
have that. And
Good.
so it wasn't a cheat because I was giving you
it's a gift.
what was in.
Yeah.
But
If I'd have done it, it'd have still been a cheat.
it wouldn't have been a cheat because I'd have been like, all right, that is all is forgiven.
Yes.
But I will say this: this is the result. I'll show that for the camera. I did 3D print. I've got for those of you who might be into that sort of thing, and I've talked to some collectors that are. I'll put this down so you can see it close up. I've got an Elegoo Mars. I think that's how you say Elegoo. I have no idea, but it's the resin printer, and it's called an SLA printer, and it uses basically a light to cure resin, and it does it layer by layer, and it can actually get to 1,000th of an inch, believe it or not. Oh, how perfect is that?
That is cool.
How perfect is that?
I want to turn around and look at it, but I'm scared it's all
Well,
fall.
we'll do it.
get
We'll do it in post.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we get that on the film.
I like that.
But the resin, you're welcome. But the resin printers, by the way, they're finicky. You got to learn how to work with them. And the resin printers, the interesting thing about that is they're so detailed. You don't see the lines. There are no lines to see.
Oh, cool.
Because they'll do 1,000th of a millimeter, and so you can literally get all the layers. And even look, you can see the texture in the stem.
Yeah.
The lines growing.
Well, I
in the
just
stem.
noticed it on the back. There's like
The
little
bumps.
bumps
Yep.
on there, like a real pumpkin.
A real pumpkin has, yeah. And all of those were in the file.
Yeah.
So it captured all that detail. And for the record.
So is this a file you bought or found on the internet?
Okay, so
made it.
interesting thing is I'm doing two different things with this file. I downloaded from Makerverse, from the people that you can Thingiverse. I downloaded it from Thingiverse, which you can download all these different cool files. But I noticed that the artist that did it, he did it in real 3D, which if you print it out this big, it's fine. The top of this is great because it's going to be a lot bigger. It'll sit in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and take this and extrude it and make it fit in tighter.
Okay.
So, the next version, I'll give you another version too, and we can I'll make some smaller ones for our different scale figures. But for the first ones I did, I think this is my fourth attempt. It was, I realized that it was sticking to my plating at the bottom, and it just wasn't doing like it was supposed to. And then if you print it this way, basically what happens is when you get to that level right there, because it pulls up, you basically create a suction cup. So it's pulling it up out of the resin, and it finally just sucks it back down, and then does whatever. But anyway, I just I wanted to stab you so bad last week when I saw that pumpkin. I was like, man, he got that sweet pumpkin. And
It's disturbing how it's not. I was jealous of that pumpkin. I saw that pumpkin and I contemplated murder. And,
it was Halloween.
yeah, I guess
It was
so.
Halloween.
Still is.
It was like okay. But I saw that and I was like, okay. But the only cheat I had here, Rob, was I've been wanting to open this for a long time, and that gave me the excuse to open and hide the pumpkins.
Yeah, that is. And really, at the time, I mean, that Diamond Select figure sold for about $20.
Oh yeah.
just for the amount of plastic they used to make that sarcophagus.
This. I mean,
I don't see how they made any money.
I mean,
see that thing's
shipping
just,
it.
Yeah.
Shipping it had to be a ton of money.
Yeah.
You know? But it was I wanted this out so I could use it for another figure.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I don't like the Mummy, but my goal is to 3D print a skeleton and put it in there.
Oh, that'll work.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal.
Yeah.
So I gotta spend some time working on the parts and all that stuff. So, but anywho, that's so that was my
cool.
my little hide in for Rob this week there. I figured you'd like.
I think I'm gonna display it like this.
I think you should.
When I first saw it, my thought was I'll put it with some more Halloweeny type figures, but now he holds it so perfectly.
He does. He really does.
I think it just kind of he's gonna have to. It's gonna be his thing now. Yeah, because I mean that reminds me of Lurch from.
That's right.
Addams
Family. Yeah.
You rang.
Mm-hmm.
Anna.
All right. Now it is time for.
It's time for the Box Hole Mystery.
We're gonna step away from Halloween.
Oh really?
Yep, we're gonna step away from Halloween.
Oh man, come on, man.
A few episodes ago, you heard me. I talked about one of my most prized possessions is an old beat up copy of the Star Wars storybook that my school had.
Yes, your
librarian.
And
the librarian
she finally gave it to you. See, I do listen to you,
You
Rob.
do listen sometimes. Well, here it is. There's more to it than just this. Here is that old, and you can see. We'll give you close-ups. You can see how beat up it is and torn. It's had binding put on it. It's missing chunks, literally. It's scratched and everywhere. It's just in rough shape.
And it's got some of those pictures that were not in the original film.
Yeah.
Is this the one where Wedge is in there?
Just wait. You'll see.
Okay.
Biggs.
Biggs? Wedge wasn't.
I don't think so. It might be a close-up shot of him. But even though this is so beat up and in such bad shape, the story that goes with it makes it one of my prized possessions.
Okay.
But I'm going to set this here.
Okay, I'll move my sarcophagus.
The other day I was at Galactic
Okay.
Comics and Games.
Okay.
And I checked, whatever I bought, I checked out, and I was walking out. And I stopped because I noticed something behind the counter sitting up on a shelf.
Okay. No stinking way.
It was this. And I thought, they made a reprint of the Star Wars storybook.
Holy moly.
And also I was like, Keith, how much is that Star Wars storybook for sale? And he's like, $25. And I was
You
like,
had to do it.
I was like,
You had to
take
do it.
my, I'm like, take my
Shut
money.
up and take
Take
my
my money, hand it to me. I want this reprint of this book. Mm-hmm. And the reason I thought it was a reprint because it was in such good condition. It's not a reprint.
That's right.
This is an original copy.
Let me see something real quick.
Hold on, I'm going to show you. I'm going to get there. I'm going to show you everything you want to see.
Well, look, they got his leg right. It's silver. That's right.
This is the original copy, just in such, because the only one I'd ever seen had been this one. And it had been in rough shape since I was a kid, and when it was
All
at
the
the
kids
school
checking
library.
it out.
So
I'm checking it out 200 times a day.
So I I can now keep this one completely because I haven't opened it, but it's kind of in there and it's coming apart, so I don't want to open it no more. But with this one, and you can even see here where the Dewey Decimal thing was.
Oh.
But in the Star Wars storybook, I took it home and I reread it. First time in 20 years or more, probably more. And there were some interesting things. One, they do refer to Darth Vader as a Dark Lord of the Sith.
Really?
In here.
Really?
They use the phrase Dark Lord of the Sith. And there's some interesting things I wanted to show you. And we'll do close up of these where you can all see. But for now, I'm just going to show Christopher. It gives little descriptions of everybody. Luke's wearing something he never wore.
And it looks like what he wore in Jedi.
Yep. It gives little we won't go into them all, but it's interesting the very basic descriptions they give of some of the characters.
That's small print, man.
Yeah.
For kids.
Yeah. Like Luke, his character description is just a young farmer who lives with his aunt and uncle on Tatooine.
That's okay. That's like no spoilers there.
Han Solo, Captain of the Millennium Falcon, a Korean starship.
What the fact that it was Korean?
Yeah. Chewbacca, a 200-year-old Wookiee whose language is only grunts and growls. He is co-pilot.
That's racist.
Yep. Darth Vader, the evil Imperial Dark Lord who uses his special powers to crush the rebellion. Grand Moff Tarkin, an Imperial Governor.
Well,
that's it. Obi-Wan, a good and just warrior of the Old Republic who possesses a special power called the Force.
Now, don't go through every one.
I'm not going to read the whole book. I was going to give you the basics, but there's a lot of words.
I see
in
that.
here.
3 hours later, Rob is finishing. Wait. The 9mm casing's on the ground.
Yep.
You know, well, that might be the seams, but you can see them throughout.
Yeah, you can
know.
see them all. Yeah, laid on there.
There it is. There's
Yeah.
one.
Now, when I'm turning the page, is one of the things I thought was so cool. This was a scene that never appeared in the movie.
Okay.
And it deals with Darth Vader, and it shows him in a way we've never seen him.
Okay.
Darth Vader with no cape.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I think he looks really cool
Yeah, he does.
with no cape. But I don't know what he's doing. He's in this picture. You'll see it.
He's just got
it's
his arms
probably
behind
flashed
him.
up there now. He's just standing there, and he's in the in front of a bunch of stormtroopers, and he's talking to a Imperial officer, or it's like he's getting a briefing or something. But I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that is cool.
This covers
There's Biggs.
the deleted scene with Biggs and Luke on Tatooine,
Right.
Where Biggs tells him he's going off to join the rebellion,
Right.
and such. And that's pretty much about it as far as new stuff.
Hidden Easter eggs.
Yeah,
Or
you no longer see R2 like that now in the special edition.
Right.
He's all covered up. It gives you just some nice close up. You can see they didn't mass produce the mask.
why did they wait? Why did they cover him up in the special edition?
Lucas just thought it's one of the things he just thought. Oh, I'm going to cover him up more.
Oh, that's weird.
And on the back,
Oh, to hide him.
yeah, on the back, here's a picture of Vader, and I can't decide. That's that, but look at the lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very generic rod.
Okay, so it's
cylinder.
It looks to me like what they did because they had to add the blade in post.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks to me what they did was just try to grab something to do a photo
Yeah.
op with.
But look at that cape. Look at the lining of the
it's
cape.
not
You really
even
get
right.
you get a.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost like a satiny finish.
Which is not what Vader's cape was like.
And so you don't know if this was like an early test design of Vader's costume or
Probably. Early
what
photo shoot.
and such. But yeah, you can tell they didn't have the lightsaber ready yet.
Right.
And it's got the white button which changes in Empire Strikes Back. And so anyway, so I found the Star Wars storybook
bit of your
at
history.
Galactic Comics.
That's
And
right.
So now I've got this one that means so much, and I've got this one that I can
Actually
crack
look at.
open and read.
That's awesome, man. That is really cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that you mentioned that I think in the first episode.
Yeah.
First or second
Might have
episode we
been.
shot. You know, you mentioned that. It's kind of
But
cool. to find that.
Miss Smith, our librarian at Marvin Pittman,
Yes, were you in middle
yeah,
school?
she gave me
Oh, wait, that was
elementary and
elementary.
middle.
Okay.
No, it was elementary and middle.
Really?
It was K through 8th.
I didn't know that.
In fact, when I first started, for some reason, it was K through 9th.
Well, okay. You know, it was weird in the 80s. They didn't quite work that out yet. You know?
And because and Marvin Pittman was called a laboratory school.
Because it was on Georgia Southern's
It was on
campus.
Georgia Southern's campus.
I did some pre-professional block there at Marvin Pittman when I was
So
working.
that's my
with kids.
box of mystery entry, a trip down memory lane. The Star Wars storybook,
That's
something I
awesome.
spent a great deal of time with as a boy.
And now as a man.
As a man.
That's right. All right, let's see. I think it is time to move along.
Ask the Magic 8 Ball.
All right, gonna have a complete transparency here. Neither Rob nor I thought of a question to ask the Magic 8 Ball.
No.
So, in his brief hiatus of answering the phone, I have thought of something.
There you go. And I try to think of the Magic 8 Ball as little as possible.
While I'm asking mine.
Yeah.
All right, Magic 8 Ball. Is the black cat that ran across my path today going to bring me bad luck? Oh, it's upside down. It says, oh, the reply is hazy. Try again. It should say my vision is hazy. Try again. Is what it should say. Let's see. Okay. Well, then I'm just gonna have to come back to you on that one, Magic 8 Ball, and I'll have to let Rob ask his question.
All right. 8 Ball, is the black cat that crossed Chris's path going to bring him bad luck?
Well, it did say try again.
Yeah.
It did.
Concentrate and ask again.
All right. So you know what? That's 2.
Okay, maybe if we both touch it.
I think we both touch it. Okay. All right. Okay. Magic 8 Ball. Is the black cat that crossed my path today going to bring me bad luck? You want me to flip it?
You flip it.
Okay, here it goes. It said yes.
Oh, man. Sorry, man.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, maybe the bad luck was that I didn't do that wash yet on that.
Could be.
Correct.
Hey, that's all it
pumpkin.
is.
couple shout outs today that I want to go ahead and throw out there are, first of all, big thank you to Michael Henley, who gave me some pointers and tips on painting these little pumpkins. Thanks, Michael. I realized that I should have asked you how to do a black wash after or before I actually painted instead of after. And the second shout out I want to give out to Devin over at Make Anything. I mentioned earlier I was having trouble with layering the printer, and as it turned out, he was having the exact same trouble on his YouTube channel, and he talked about one of the things you do is you take a PTFE oil, like a 3-in-1 oil, and you just put it on the bottom layer, and what it does, it gives you just enough separation that it will stick to this one that lifts it up and not the bottom. So if you have a 3D resin printer and you're having trouble with it sticking to the bottom plate into the film, then you just put the little 3-in-1 oil there, or some there's some I think called the super lubricant or whatever. You put that on there, and it allows these pieces to lift right off. And so like that little sticky part there, that's how so this would come out like that.
Yep.
I think, have you seen it work before?
No.
All right, well, it's kind of cool.
I mean, I've seen 3D printers print. I've never seen yours.
Just seen it. It's cool stuff. I mean, obviously the quality's pretty.
3D printers are amazing.
They really are. I mean, I remember the first time I heard one, I had to ask Jeremiah Womble told me about that, and I had to ask him. He said, "Yeah, let me show you this 3D printer." I was on QuickTime on the internet, and I said, I said, wait, what? He said, "With this 3D printer," I went, "Are you saying 3D printer?" And he said, "Yeah, man, 3D printer," and I went, "Oh, I don't understand."
Yeah.
Then when you see it, it's like, oh my gosh, and there's so many different types. There's the subtractive, that's an additive, process.
The first 3D printer I saw online, the guys, this was many years ago. The guys who were printing, they printed a crescent wrench.
I saw that too with this little.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, they printed a crescent wrench, and then they take the crescent wrench out, and they turn the little knob, and it moves.
Yeah.
And
that's
I'm
right.
Like,
how does that even work?
How does it do it? What kind of black magic is this?
That? Yeah.
There's some voodoo going on here.
And they make now. There's companies that will print a metal one for you. It's called metal sintering, and what they do is it's basically it's like titanium powder, and what they do is they shoot lasers and it welds it together in sections. And that's how it does it. Essentially the same type of thing as this, except it's shooting lasers in really fine microns, and basically it welds it together. So that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
But a shout out to Devin at Make Anything for giving me that pointer. And again, a shout out also to the family of Jimmy Schumann. So sorry to hear about your you, man. You were really important to me, and I really am going to miss you. And just seeing you here lately a couple times a year was always fun when you popped in my door, because I knew it was going to be funny. And I do want to give you a shout out, and especially your family. I hope you guys are okay.
Yeah, that's one of the rougher things about getting older is life starts taking away parts of your memories and childhood.
Yeah, it does. It really does, and that's part of the GenX thing. We're in that. Yep. We're in that part of our life. We are. That is. So that's why. That's why. Honestly, man, that's why this has meant a lot more to me. When we did, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this out loud. I said this to Ashley this week. When I was doing the toys, when I was doing plaid toys. Robin mentioned that a few times, and he mentioned it last episode. All of a sudden, having to do that, having to buy them, having to sell them, having to ship them, it became work to me.
Yeah.
And I stopped. I didn't realize it, but I stopped collecting during that period. Or I bought things and never opened them and never cared about it. And I realized that during that whole period, I really lost part of what I was doing, because I wasn't enjoying these little things.
Yeah.
The little things that really actually do mean a lot to me, that are fun, and that was part of my hobby, part of my fun, who I was, my identity. And when you and I started this back again, man, it's just been really awesome to me, because it rekindled all that.
Yeah. I felt some of that too. I've collected more in the past 2 months than I have in probably the past year.
Yeah, me too. It doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah.
Just
picking up something.
Just picking up something.
Looking again and getting interested in it again.
That's right.
That's the biggest thing. You kind of lose interest because when it's just you looking at it, or you're no longer really sharing with it. You do it kind of like, because I was at the point where I wouldn't go up to my room, sometimes maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah, that's not a lot at all for you.
And now I'm going up there, 3 or 4 times a week and spending time and doing things and and also.
Well, I don't know if you noticed in the cabinet, it took me forever to figure out where I was going to put those the McFarlane Monster series.
Yeah.
But honestly, man, it was like you and I clicked because of obviously the collecting and stuff like that, and so we do like to share. I like to see his, his collection, and he'll come in and he'll still look. I think occasionally he'll see something that he never saw in my room before, and I do the same thing in his all the time.
Oh, all during the show, each and every show, you'll see me looking off in the distance, and that's what I'm doing.
You're trying to spot.
I'm not lost in thought. I'm just looking at
what's around,
things that are around.
Yeah.
And such.
And I think that too, on yours, on that note, Rob, that whole thing, and that's kind of the creative side. Your creativity. You've done your. I mentioned that I'd never made dioramas and stuff like that, but last week I realized that I do value them a lot because of those. That's why I bought this McFarlane stuff.
Yeah.
But in Rob's creativity, his whole thing is he loves making these dioramas, and as I was painting that, I got to tell you guys something. I never did models as a kid. I wanted to buy the toy, wanted to play with the toy. As I'm painting that, it was the most therapeutic thing to just sit there and not do anything else and to just paint. Just to paint something that was just, okay, this is cool. And the next ones, these are unique pieces. I'll never make them like this exactly again. And it's something that I think that if people slow down a little bit, and if they find their hobby, the thing that they love, no matter what that is, as long as they're not hurting anybody and they're doing something constructive, it's just fun. You need these things, especially at times like this.
Oh yeah, you need something to occupy your mind. Like I said, I've been going back through my volumes of comics, and I've been integrating comics that I bought after I kind of stopped collecting, from some from that estate sale, from some from that I've just picked up here and there, and I'm getting them all back into alphabetical order. So that's a large project, and not only that, I also went through it. I kept up with them all the time for a long time.
With the themes and the storylines?
Well, as far as recording them.
Okay. You mean with a spreadsheet? Log? Okay.
Yeah, I logged them in. But there was like a 2-year period where I continued buying comics, but I had stopped logging them in.
Oh.
So that's another thing I'm doing, is going through back and finding those that I missed and updating my spreadsheet.
Right.
And then I'm entering them all into comicbookrealm.com. So there'll always be an online record
version of what you
with the
got.
value, so that when I'm dead and gone, JT and Abby will have a record of what I have and what it's worth.
Well, and you had, it's kind of funny. Rob and I talked about this with our collecting. He had done that with comics. He had gone to the nth degree of what his comic book, where he got it from, all this kind of stuff, but not his toys. I had done that with my toys several times, and I would update the list every few years. And the last time that happened, I got Brian's ex-wife Sarah to do it for me, and she cataloged everything. She cataloged my entire collection. I said, I'll pay you whatever it takes to $10 an hour or whatever to do it, because I that kind of work I can't do. Like, I'm very bad at that.
I've never wanted to do my collection.
Well, okay,
not my action figure.
Well, I got to tell you, she finished it in 2 hours. There's no way I could do that. There's no, like when JT was up there cataloging that He-Man stuff, he finished it in a day.
Well, the problem with cataloging the collection is all the variances.
Yep.
Han Solo with closed fist, Han Solo with open fist, Han Solo on green card, Han Solo with closed fist, orange card, with hologram. It's just and then, like I said, with comics, I love it because I think that's part. Comics are like, they're like baseball cards in that you want to catalog them, you want to know what the values are and all that. But with the action figures, I'm the exact opposite. I don't want to catalog it. I don't want to know what it's worth.
Right.
I just want it to be what it is.
And that's actually, it's kind of interesting. I didn't care about the value. I only priced it at what I paid for it.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that that's what I was going to tell you. I spoke to Keith about that in the comic book store the other day at Galactic, and I said he was putting up some comics, and I was picking up a couple little things. And actually, you're going to hate me for saying this, and I'm going to show stuff next week. But I traded the rest of my Universal Monsters for other stuff.
Oh wow!
I did not this one, and I told Keith I was not trading this one because I realized. But I realized it'd been so many years that I didn't open it, and that I had only collected.
Well, it's not a problem because I don't know if you probably don't even remember, but I actually bought 2 sets from you.
Oh yeah, did you? Yeah.
Because I bought.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually bought 2 sets. So I actually still have some on the card.
Yeah.
And I've opened 2 of Creature because I gave one to JT because he really likes Creature from Black Lagoon, and I do too. I gave one to him, and I opened up a second Frankenstein. because I wanted one Frankenstein standing up and I wanted one laying on the table.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I talked to Keith about. I said, Keith, I said, here's your whole thing is that, we were talking. He was putting up some comics and stuff like that, and I was talking to him about. I said, I'm gonna give you these. I said, let's trade, Keith. I said, because when I got into that, when I was dealing with Diamond, it became so much work that it wasn't fun for me as much anymore.
Yeah.
And he goes, man, I know. He said, I've got so many comics I haven't even read. He said, I've got all these things that I'm selling that I don't need anymore, and this, that, and the other. He says, because if he's got it in his store, he thinks about the same thing I've got when I've got a guitar in my store.
Yeah.
I go, oh, you must love having all those guitars. Not really. They're for sale. They're
Yeah.
I've got the ones I've got the ones that I need to make music and that I need, you know. But I realized that, when I was 15, I'd play guitar 2 hours a day. I play guitar 2 hours a day now, but it's helping other kids to play 2 hours a day. It's not necessarily for my enjoyment. I still love it, and I'm still extremely passionate about it. But it's not the same.
So how did he value them as far as like?
Well, I went in armed. That's why I called you that day.
Yeah,
that's why I called you.
Yeah, you called me and asked me what they were.
I said, what are they selling for? And here's the funny thing. I traded him. I felt good about the trade. He felt good about the trade.
Yeah.
So everybody won. I think he will end up making a more financial gain, which I hope he does. I really want him to.
Yeah.
But actually, from what I paid for him back in the day, I didn't lose any money. And what these cost, even if I were a dealer of these, I came out still ahead, and he actually came out ahead. So that was one of those weird deals.
So was it a full set?
No, I didn't have the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I had Frankenstein, 2 Draculas. And I gave away the Punisher with a pinball machine. I didn't have any room to put it in here.
Yeah.
And then I gave away I gave him the Punisher with the pinball machine, the 2 Draculas, the Frankenstein, and that was the 4. Okay. And so you're talking about $200 worth if you did the Amazon eBay price.
Probably you have to buy those for like $50 a piece.
Right. And then I walked out with about $200 worth. Okay. So it was a good deal. It was a good deal.
What'd you get?
I'm going to show some of that to you next week. He has to wait. That's actually, I literally hid them from you today. So that you couldn't see.
Punisher, I like the Punisher figure. The pinball machine is a really big accessory.
It is.
But when I took it out and I set it up, when you go to my room, you'll see the.
Oh, I've seen it.
You'll see the Punisher out, but you don't see the pinball machine out.
Really?
Yeah, because the way he's got that guy tied on the pinball machine.
It looks bad.
Especially when you set it up, it's kind of like.
Looks bad.
This is
not right.
Yeah, this is getting into a visual that I don't want to think about.
That's right. There's
and such because the guy's tied to the pinball machine in a very
overt way. How about I show a picture?
It's kind of disturbing. It's just not. It's leading you down a path that is not nice.
Which is in that there, I'll show a picture and let them write their own narrative. Yeah. How about that?
And because the guy's tied down, and it's just
you just get to stop talking. That's when we stop talking. Yeah. It is time to stop talking. Yeah. Oh man,
I can make it better if I keep talking.
No, let's stop talking. Let's stop talking.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Well, I tell you what, guys. For GenX Vault, I am Chris Mitchell.
Rob Kennedy.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We certainly do appreciate it. And you know what? That's a nice shirt. Look at that shirt. Mm-hmm. Where'd you get that shirt?
It was a gift.
I think you can get that shirt at genxvault.com. Yeah. That's right. So I am Chris Mitchell.
Rob Kennedy.
You guys have a wonderful week.
Bye.